Well, we are live. Can I see my own face yet? Not quite yet. Can't get past the entering studio screen. You are live, apparently, but yes, we are live. You are live, apparently, but it's just a bit of a delay from what I can tell. We are live.
A delay people getting in, Kev.
Say again.
What is it? A delay people getting into the stream?
It's fine. It was about a 20-second delay from us talking to YouTube, but it's fine. There's 18 people watching at the moment.
Okay, that would suggest there might be an issue getting on.
Yeah.
Just double check, shall we?
Crashed the forum last time, didn't it? Right, let me put the link.
That's why I thought we'd better check.
Let me put the link I sent you up. La 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 la.
Whenever you're ready, Kev. Or people still trying to get in?
I think, 38 watching now.
Okay, that's probably a lot less than we're expecting.
I think, you have to then, it takes you to a holding screen, and then you have to press I think people need to hit play on YouTube, but looks like some people are coming in now. I'll put that in the on the forum there.
I've just gone into it. It just says the video isn't available.
That'll be
so it's not working.
It can't cope with the masses of fans.
Yeah, not sure what's going on, but it's just saying the video isn't available. For you guys, anybody that can hear us, we're going to try and it may be just the numbers coming onto YouTube that's causing the problem. If not, we're going to have to figure it out. But hang around, please, guys.
Yeah, I'll try. Just put another one on. Just try that one.
Yeah, that's not working.
When was the last time the annual selection?
Yeah, everybody's saying it's not working.
I don't know. There's quite a few people there now. I've just put a new link up.
Different link?
Yeah.
All right, I need to tell them what it is. Can you send that to me?
Yeah. This is exciting, isn't it? Smooth as ever.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as you send that, I'll repost that. On its way?
I've sent it on WhatsApp.
Oh, hang on. I'm in the wrong thing, that's why.
Works on phones, but doesn't work on laptops, apparently. It's weird. 130 people watching now, though. Ask them to use the YouTube app rather than watching through Explorer. Worked for me. New link is working. There's Ronan, the big dog.
All right, I think we should probably try again.
166. How many did we have last year?
Not a clue.
No, I can't remember either.
Gone away going.
Johnny said, "What a mess! Glad his face isn't part of this shambles." I agree.
Right, so where you go, Kev?
Right. Okay. So, hello everyone. 199 in the other link. 193 in the other room. Nice. We need to move them over then.
Can you put a message on into the link on the other thing?
Yes, I will do.
Because that's a couple of hundred people that can't see it at the moment and logged in there.
Oh no, it's coming through. That comes to the same link for me.
Okay.
Same link for me, right? 250. That's loads. That's loads of humans. So, without further ado, there's no biggest Naiad. Yeah, right. This is nothing to do with me, Paul. So I'm going to straight away just hand over to the main man. I will shut up, the shrinking violet that I am. Paul, take it away.
Cheers, Kev. Yes, look, it's that time of the year again. I know a lot of you guys have done this now with me. This is the 4th year that you guys have done this with me. I think there's quite a few people doing this for the first time this year too. So essentially for the guys that are on for the first time, this is basically our collective attempt for all of us Cheltenham anti-post gamblers to try and create a little bit of gambling history by pulling off a bit of a festival coup. I won't bore you with the story that sits behind it. It's available on the Fat Jockey website. You will find it if you do want to know the story behind it. There is quite a significant story. But the whole purpose of this, it relates back to a bet that I had on Naiad and Missilo in 2008. I knew Ferdy Murphy very well. He was the trader. I was convinced that it was a plot. As it turned out, it wasn't, but I happened to accidentally win about 28 grand. So every year since then, I've done a Naiad, initially with my immediate group of friends. But it's sort of expanded out since then over the years. And over the last, this is the 4th time actually we've done it as a live podcast. So, several hundred people are effectively going to have a bit of a plunge on one horse all at the same time. Bookmakers have no idea which horse it is. They have no opportunity to respond and react. And the prize is going to crash to something like what you'd expect it to be on the day. So I've had a whole host of messages, as you probably guessed, getting me to try and divulge the name. And I can say literally nobody on this planet knows what name I'm going to say unless they've guessed correctly. The words haven't come out of my mouth. It's getting harder and harder to get on at decent prices. I had my last couple of bets on the horse this morning, and I think the bookmakers may be onto me with this now because there was an immediate trim of the price, and that's the problem now that we're all facing. Really, we're getting the life sucked out of the anti-post markets by the bookies. It's getting harder and harder. But before I really sort of kick into it, I just want to say, with several hundred people on here, it's pretty humbling that you guys take the time out to do this and to join me with it. As I say, it's the 4th time. It's getting bigger every year. And for you guys, just the fact that you guys take the time out to listen is something. The fact that you're joining is something else. So I genuinely really appreciate it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun too. We are all together going to go and try and take the bookies for a fairly large sum of money. So
Paul, just to jump in, mate, there's 423 watching and only 2 people have liked it. So I say I don't even think you give it to them unless they all hit the like button.
Well, at least they can hear. The first thing I'm going to say, though, is that the Naiad isn't the King of Rye Hope. I suspect a lot of people thought that I might be putting King of Rye Hope up today. He definitely fit the trends perfectly. There'd be a good chance, given his profile now, that it'd be punted to single figures because we revealed our hand at the weekend really by pushing him up in trip and put him on the ground that he needed. But the festival just comes too soon for him, really. It's three weeks tomorrow and he just needs that little bit of extra time. So he'll be going to Aintree after we just freshened him up a little bit. So if you were sat there waiting on the button for to punt him, then it's not him. As much as I would have loved it to be him, it isn't. Maybe in a future year. Look, we're all here because we're a bunch of festival tragics, really. We love anti-post punting. We work hard all year to get ourselves in the best possible position to have a profitable festival. And this is just a bit of fun, really. It's a great way for us all to be shouting the same horse home, hopefully winning together, and as I say, giving the bookies a good old caning at the same time. Prices are getting skinnier and skinnier earlier and earlier. It's getting really hard now to put horses at a big price for this. But I think the key thing is to put up a horse that's a winner. It's been a tough season all round, with horses out. Novice divisions have been a mess for a lot of the season. Horses like Gaelic Warrior alone have been going for a dozen different races and might not even be on the boat at all now. So, the Naiad's our opportunity to fight back. Backing a single horse that we believe will win, all of us pressing the button at the same time on the best available price and giving the bookies no time to react, as I say. So we'll sit back and watch the price tumble. We know we've got the value bagged, and we can be pretty sure that we're going to go off as favourite, or at least very close to being favourite. I think as a principle, focusing on an acceptable percentage, your betting bank on a single horse at a working man's price that's significantly more likely to win. You can make your whole festival with a horse like that. Statistically, there's a much better chance of winning on a single horse than investing heavily in multiples. So, as a strategy anyway, I think it's a good strategy. Find that horse you really like, back it to a return that you want, and make it a significant part of your festival. So, doing it this way is a great way of doing it. It's a fun way of doing it, but I think as a principle, it's a really good one. And if you think about how much we all invest in multiples each year, how often we like to land one of those as a significant one, when from a relatively small percentage of our betting bank, we have a much better chance. As a principle, it is just sound. I focus on the Naiad to match the full return that I had on the original Naiad. That's what I do. And if it comes in, it'll pay about 50% of what I play with each anti-post season. And it's only a small percentage of my overall bank. So, and the other thing is history. This has been going for 16 years now. It's actually my most successful bet. In P&L terms, nothing else I do comes remotely close to it. So, as a principle, it's just sound. I'm a fairly significant punter, but for someone that just bets moderately, it's possible that a Naiad or something similar can pay for a whole festival. That said, you always stake to something you're comfortable with, or make sure you can afford it. But as a principle, as I say, it's sound. The bet's way ahead over the 16 years I've been doing it. In actual fact, that very first one in 2008 with Naiad to Mislow is still in profit if I've never won it again. There's only been three years over that period of time where there hasn't been a return of at least the place part. So, you can, without having the sums, it's impossible. I'm not going to sort of go back on that, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out how profitable that is. Since we've done the live ones, the first one we did was Happy Go Lucky. That was really, really close. A couple of crucial jumping mistakes at the wrong time, and then he went and romped up at Aintree 3 weeks later. We did a mini Naiad the year after because the horse that we'd selected, we did non no bet and wasn't entered. So we did T Clip as a mini Naiad. He gave us a nice place return. Last year we did Nasalam, who ran no sort of race. Actually, he just had an uncharacteristically bad round of jumping. Just didn't jump a twig all day. And then Soslor, he goes and wins the Welsh National by about 40 lengths or whatever he won that by. Just giving us an idea of how well handicapped he was. So he's now rated 161. Goes to the Gold Cup. That's £2 higher than Corrick Ramble, who he's getting weight off in the Ultima. So, again, it was just one of those races where he just needed to jump. all of those horses we backed at really good odds. That the odds tumbled. I think Happy Go Lucky might have gone off at something like 7-2. It was really short in the end. But anyway, this year's Naiad, I'm more confident about than all of them. I expect the horse to go off favourite, possibly around the 5-1 mark. I'd be happy backing the horse down to around 6-1. If he's not favourite and he's not around those kind of prices, I'm going to be really surprised. He's not been unnoticed in the market. Just this morning, some of the bookmakers have cut him. In fact, the best price was cut after I had my last bet on him today. So I think they may well be on to me. But also, ultimately, we're looking for a winner and not a value loser. So, as long as I'm comfortable with the price being right and recommending it, I think that's okay. As I say, the criteria for the Naiad, it's got to be a horse with a leading winning chance, and one, for me, that worst case feels unlikely to finish outside of the places. And, I expect it to drop in price and go up close to favourite. But one final thing is that it's got to be confirmed. I work quite hard on speaking to connections and trainers and so on and so forth to make sure that's the case each year. And I've worked from short list of horses, so I have to go through quite a few horses, make a lot of contacts, do a lot of hard yards to try and get the answers I want. And if I can't include a horse as the Naiad because I just don't know it's going to run in the race. So this is the horse that fits the bill best of all. And I'm not going to compromise. It's a bit shorter price-wise than I wanted, but I'm not going to compromise. I could have gone with my second or third choices at much bigger prices. But this is the horse that I'm most confident about winning one of the festival handicaps, and therefore that's the one that we should be on. It's the one that we should be backing. That said, I'm going to break with tradition slightly. I am going to tell you what my second and third choices were this year. They're bigger prices than the horse that I'm going to put up for the Naiad, and they might interest you anyway. And just for disclosure, I'd back both of them to 50% of the returns that I have for the horse that I'm putting up as the Naiad. So your choice whether you want to play on those. I'm going to announce those right at the end. So if you're still hanging around, then you're not too bored. There are a couple of bonus horses. So one other thing we do every year, those who are on this and on the forums and so on and so forth that go to the festival, we actually do meet at the parade ring to watch this race. It's quite a big crowd now. So it'd be great if some of you guys that haven't been there before come and show your faces. You know what I look like. You can see me now. You might see me on a few other podcasts from time to time, so you know what I look like. What we do is we meet all the way around to the left of the parade ring on the steps. So if you've got the weighing room facing you, it's all the way around to the left at the top of the viewing steps. As far round as you can possibly walk. Generally, what we do is, meet there as close after the previous race as possible. For example, for me, from where I go in the course, it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to walk there. So I'm probably going to be there 20 minutes or so before the race. But it'd be great if you guys can make it. As I say, there's quite a social crowd that go, and we make a bit of noise in front of the ITV crew because they're on the steps in front of us. We walk down the steps and watch it on the big screen. So if there's 50 of us there, 70 of us there, 80 of us there, whatever the numbers are, and this horse comes in, I think they might be noticing. But it's just a bit of an annual social gathering for the anti-post punters that go to Cheltenham, really. Not everybody can make it, but everybody's part and parcel of this gamble. So anyway, look, I'm going to announce the Naiad, and then for those of you that are still interested afterwards, I'm going to give you my rationale, and then I'm going to let you know what the other couple of horses were before. Before I tell you the name, you guys are probably going to want to get whichever devices you put your bets up on or do your bets on. So I would recommend getting your phone out, your laptop, or however you do that right now, whatever device you use. In order, the account that you would use, if you've got Hills, that would be my first recommendation. Open your Hills app or go into the Hills website and make use of the double odds concession. If you haven't got Hills, the next best price currently is with Sky Bet. You won't need the no runner, no bet concession, so skip past the first bit on that on the particular race and just go to the bit below where it's just normal anti-post odds. And if you don't have either of those two, in most cases, the main bookmakers, whichever one you prefer to use, really. So I'll just give you a moment or two to get your phone, your laptop done. The horse is actually going to be quite popular. It may well be that quite a few of you guys will have already backed it. Well, hopefully that's just validation that somebody else thinks similarly. But just in the spirit of doing the Naiad, have a top up. This bet now is the one where we take the bookies. So just have a little top up, to whatever stake you're comfortable with, and we're going to give it a really good go. And the bottom line is, if you guys can see how many people are on here right now, that combined gamble is probably going to be the biggest single gamble in a moment on any horse at the festival, all festival. And it's definitely the biggest group gamble of the festival. That's one thing that's absolutely sure. And the bottom line is, if we land this with everybody that's punting on this right now, the bookies are getting taken for a fair old ride. We're giving them a real whack. Okay, so the race you want to load up on your devices is the Ultima. So I'll just give you a moment or two to load up your phone with the Ultima on it.
Everyone knew it was going to be the Ultima, Paul. It's always the Ultima.
I'll shock you next year. I might even just discount that race completely next year, just to throw everybody. In fact, I'm going to do it anyway. So if everybody's loaded up, which I'm going to assume everybody is, probably a horse that isn't going to be surprised to many people. I know one or two people have been having a guess. One or two people have guessed the name that I'm about to say. Those of you that have the William Hill concession, you can back him double odds at 24-1. The rest of us are backing him at 14s and some at 12s if you haven't got either of those two accounts. But the horse is the Goffer. So, look, he opened at 25-1. He's been cut. It wasn't helpful, really, that Gordon Elliott entered him in that flat race yesterday either, I suppose. But I think he has an absolutely outstanding chance. Now, you're going to get some numbers down fairly quickly, and the prices are going to go quite quickly, I would think. There might be some people on a trading desk that are sleeping right now, given it's 8 o'clock at night. We have found that in the past that, there's been the odd bookmaker that just hasn't reacted because they haven't even looked. But those prices will go quite quickly. So I'm going to make the case for him now. So there might be some of you guys don't.
Paul, they're saying Will Hill have suspended the betting.
Yeah, they've probably just had a massive panic. But they won't know what the hell's going on right now. They'll figure it out at some point, no doubt. But they've just been taken quite heavily, I would imagine. So look, the price is going to go quite quickly. He's going to be 8-1 or even 7-1 by the time we get to the morning. I think he's going to go off at 6s or even 5s. I will have one more good bet on the day, in actual fact. Whatever the price is on the day, it's just a bit of a tradition to me. I don't really care what that price is. My money's down anyway. Hopefully you guys are going to hang around for me to make the case for him. If you just wanted to hear those words, then thank you for listening. I really, really do appreciate it. But I'm going to go on and make the case for him now. I'm not going to spend a massive amount of time on it because I think it is quite clear. And I'm then going to tell you what the other two horses were. So look, the first thing is he ran really well in the race last year. You've only got to look back and watch that race last year. Crucially, he's been confirmed that he runs in the race. I think that's really important to us. And horses that have run in the race previously, that have run well, have a really good record of coming back to it. But that alone isn't the reason for him winning it. Gordon Elliott's clearly looked after him with this race in mind since last season. And it's his seasonal target. So, he would have looked at that race last year and he'd have felt that was a race that got away, I think. Benefit of hindsight suggested there were two very good horses there, but I'll touch on that in a second. It's also possible that his mark might be a couple of pounds lower than last year. There's still some UK handicap attacks to come. But, realistically, if the UK handicap is consistent, he's probably going to be a couple of pounds lower than he was last year. There's nothing that's happened this season that allows the handicapper to do anything other than use his Irish mark as a guideline. Where he finished last year, theoretically would actually drop his handicap mark a little bit if the handicapper was treating a horse the same way as he treats a UK horse. So I actually think he might be a little bit better off than he was last year. Also, last year, David Russell got him far too far back in the race. It's one of those races where you've either got to be ludicrously well handicapped or you can't afford to be too far off the pace. And Davey had to use a load of petrol to get him into contention. Once he got him in a roll, he was never going to get 2 goes at it, so he just had to let him roll. And the problem was then he got him forward and then he got there too quickly. He travelled really well in the wrong part of the race. And I think, look, if you look at Davy's festival last year, he didn't have a good one. He wasn't riding regularly prior to the festival. Jack Kennedy obviously was out, and it was a bit of a throw of the dice. And he didn't ride well at all festival, and he didn't give the Goffer a particularly good ride at all. Jack Kennedy will definitely give him a more prominent ride. He'll leave him much less to do when he makes his move, and he'll do it at the point where he knows he can sustain his run all the way through to the line. He'll be ridden to his optimum this time. And look, he was beaten by Corrit Rambler and Faster Slow last year. We're saying this, and you think about what beat him. Corrit Rambler went on to win the Grand National. Will run in the Gold Cup and take on the National again. And Corrit only just beat Faster Slow. Faster Slow, second favourite for the Gold Cup. And out of that race, went to Punchestown and beat Galloping the Champ. So, that's pretty serious form. And, any horse in that race actually was seriously unlucky to run into those two. History tells you don't have horses like that in the Ultima. So they were seriously unlucky. And even Monbeg Genius, who was just in front of him, he was third in the Hennessy. And he only ran off 140 in the race. So, I think he didn't have an optimum ride. It wasn't the underfoot conditions he'd want. He ran into ran into a couple. So there's a lot of reasons why he's going to improve. He'll be much better if we get better ground this time. If we don't, then, it's probably not going to inconvenience him, but there's improvement to come for better ground. I think it's also likely most of the well-handicapped Irish staying handicappers are going to stay at home. They'll go to the Irish National. If most Irish trainers, a bit different for Gordon Elliott, Willie Mullins, probably Henry de Bromhead, who have multiple horses. But any trainers outside of those that have a seriously well-handicapped 3-mile handicap chaser is going to go and try and take on the Irish National. The prize money for that's ridiculous compared to Cheltenham, but it's only 2 weeks after the festival, so it's impossible for horses to really double up. So I don't think there are going to be too many wild cards, should we say, that are going to appear in this race. If you were a trainer, it's an Irish trainer, that's not the race you'd necessarily be looking at. And I think another serious consideration, I've been through the horses that I think might turn up there. And I think there's only 2 or 3 that I think I could think about opposing him with. So, the criteria I talked about, the horse that I think will win, but at the very least, I don't see outside the places. He just fits the criteria perfectly. And whilst, ideally that sharpener over the flat didn't help the price yesterday, it will help his chances, He wouldn't have been a horse that I'd have expected to be going and winning a flat race, and he did. He was good enough to do that, which suggests there's a serious engine under his bonnet. But the bottom line is, off his current mark, it would probably take a really well handicapped Group 1 type class newcomer to beat him, and I can't find anything of that kind of potential that's going to go to the race. And he's about as confident as a selection I could have in the handicaps right now. in any of the handicaps.
He's been backed into favourite already.
Yeah, so look, that's the case. And there's other things that I could talk about too, but I don't want to bore the pants off everybody. So I will talk about my second and third choices. These aren't in any particular order, by the way. So the next one that was under consideration was Funan Bull Sivola, Venetia's 2-miler. He's best priced 33-1 in the Grand Annual. He was tempting to put up because, that price we could have taken down from 33s to probably single figures. It's a similar race to the Ultimate in that I don't see too many dangers, probably a few more, but not too many dangers in the race. It feels like a plot that was hatched at the end of last season. He really fits the bill for a set of criteria I like to use for the handicaps in terms of, classy horses that have been running a particular way, and all of a sudden the handicap marks dropped quite significantly. He'll come to this race, he fits that bit of criteria, and I'm fairly sure there are a couple of certain tweaks that they can make on him before March as well, which is not something I'm going to go through on a public podcast. But the doubt I had when I was comparing him to the Goffer is that I can't be 100% certain he's a plot. I'm probably 85-90% sure, but I'm not 100% sure. And the problem with that is, if I recommend a horse like him as the Naiad, he either wins and I look like a bloody hero, or he finishes tailed off. And that isn't the criteria for a Naiad and doing this. The other choice I had actually is one of the dangers to the Goffer in the Ultima, and that's Amorite. He's best priced 20-1. I topped up on him this morning. They immediately cut him from 25 to 20s. The last of the 25s went. So again, it's not coincidence. There are two horses that have had their prices trimmed today. That's the Goffer and Amorite. And they're the only two horses I backed today. And both of those horses were trimmed within a few minutes of me backing them. So I know they're now looking for this. But they don't know which horses. So I'm going to have to be more careful how I do this next season, I think. So what's the case for him? Look, he's completely unexposed as a chaser. He's had 7 lifetime chases. He's got a profile that suggests there's improvement to come. He's also that typical Henry de Bromhead type that improves around this kind of stage of the careers. He's really careful with these kinds of horses. He doesn't overface them. That said, they took him to the Irish Grand National. They clearly were managing his mark to the Irish National, and he just ran no sort of race at all. So you could look at that and say maybe he's not the horse that I think he is. Well, I think you just take that race as a one-off. You just take that out of his overall profile because his profile around that is perfect. He was given a sighter at the October meeting at Cheltenham over course and distance, over the old course and distance. He was the best horse in that race, I think, but his saddle slipped 4, maybe 5 out, I think. And even then, Rachel was able to get him home not too far behind in 4th place. He wasn't that far behind 3 horses between him and was significantly inconvenienced. He then went to the Leopardstown Christmas Festival, running the big 3-mile handicap there, and he was basically ridden out the back. He is a prominent horse. He's a strong travelling horse, likes a nice pace. He was stuffed, in the second half of the field. He was absolutely certainly run to tick him over and to protect his mark. I have absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever. And the thing is, his usual run style is perfect for an Ultima. An Ultima last year, Corot Ramble the last 2 years is an exception to the rule. That race, you want to be close to the pace. It's so hard to make up places in that race, and if you're not in position at the top of the hill, you ain't winning. There's got to be a complete pace collapse to win that race if you're not in position when you're coming down that hill. He'll definitely love better ground at Cheltenham. assuming we get it, given all the rain around at the moment. That's not a given, of course. He's been kept fresh for it. He's been kept fresh for something. Let's put it that way. And he was thought to be good enough to be contested graded races in Ireland last season. So he is no back number or mug. And he's probably going to get off a mark of around 142. As I say, there's a little bit of guesswork there with what the UK handicapper does, but I think he's going to get in off 142. As I say, went off favourite for last season's Irish National. So, off that kind of mark, people then thought he was a seriously well-handicapped horse. Well, I still think he is. I think that just went horribly wrong for them that day. And I think the bad experience at Fairyhouse and the fact he had a sighter in October suggests that this race is the plan. I think he's the biggest danger to the Goffer. I think if you back him, you've got to back him with no run and no bet, because the one thing we don't know is that he's definitely going there. I haven't been able to confirm that for certain this is his target. All the indications are this is the race he comes to, but I have not been able to confirm this is the target. So again, I could not put him up as the Naiad. There's only a couple more horses actually I think are a danger to the Goffer. And the other two are Chianti Classico. He's been well touted. He's headed the market for some considerable time. I don't think he wins this race. I think there are a couple of horses better than him, the two that I've just mentioned. I think he'll run a decent race. I think he's a good horse. The other one's the Theatre Man. I think he's more place material, though. Again, I don't really see him winning. I think he's one that can run a big race. He's unexposed. There's a couple of others of interest, but I don't think they're going to get in. Are you wise to that? And what's the other one? Can't remember. The Changing Man. Don't think either of those are going to get in. They could run somewhere between now and the festival and try and double up, but that's a tough ask for any young horse. So I'd probably go off them if that actually happened. But I'd have to be interested if for any reason they just managed to squeak in at the bottom of the handicap. But off 130 and 128, that's highly unlikely. So that's it, guys. That's this year's Naiad. This year's Naiad's the Goffer. I'd love to see as many of you as possible, meet as many of you as possible at the Parade Ring. But let's hope that we win together. Let's go and take the bookies for a good old touch. And as I say, let's wake up in the morning and let's see him as a 7-1 and 8-1 favourite. Thanks for listening, guys. I know it's taken up a large part of your evening. I'll see you on various other things in the lead up to the festival. I've got no doubt. And as I say, stay in touch. Happy to answer any questions, whether it be on social media or whether it's on Fat Jockey. So cheers, guys. Thanks very much. Back to Kev.
Who's got nothing to say? Peace.
There we go. Then.
Love you all. See you later. See you on the forum.